You've heard of the HB red code stack type. Well, here I present to you my take on yellow codes. Ambient Near Earth hub deck that taxes the runner to oblivion. So let's get things started. Why is this a tax deck? Simply because it forces the runner to pay lots of credits by getting through my ice and trashing my assets and scoring my NAPDs. I don't have an ideal opening hand. It's 2 NAPDs, but I don't really have a choice. I'm at this point, because I mulligan into this hand, I resigned into giving up these 4 points to him. If he continuously hits HQ or hits a legwork, and I know that he will, he'll get the NAPDs. So be it. I'll start with 4 points behind. There's nothing much I can do about it. But he doesn't access my NAPDs. Instead, he only hits my Jackson and trashes it, which is kind of a wise decision, especially since he has Magnum Economy. Now, I draw into my only 2 pieces of ice in 2 turns, a Galahad and a Lancelot. I'd rather keep one in hand and throw out the other, but, well, I don't have the luxury to do that, so both of them are going on the board as ice. Galahad and Lancelot, you usually use them in Foundry custom erotics because of the increased influence and because you can tutor them, but I think it works wonders in your hub because of your super powerful draw engine offered by the ID. You will eventually draw lots of Lancelots and Galahads, and sure enough, I draw my second Lancelot, the Trash Program Sentry. So if he runs HQ or R&D, say bye-bye to that Magnum Opus. Suddenly, I'm looking in a very strong position. So if he doesn't run with both a Barrier or Sentry Breaker out, he's going to be in for a nasty, nasty surprise. I can't wait to spring this trap on him. And he's not going to expect it because he hasn't revealed a single piece of ice on my servers yet. That's because he hasn't been running at all, save for my assets and my HQ early on, which he only saw a Jackson from. Alright, I have a Data Pike. This is a very good taxing piece of ice. It costs 1 more to rest than Enigma, but my whole point is to tax the runner, and it taxes their credits quite heavily. As opposed to Enigma, which you can ignore the first subroutine on if you're running on your last click. I decide to put the Data Pike in the remote instead of securing my centrals because he is completely disinterested in running my centrals, which is a wise decision for someone who is playing Magnum Opus. On the same token, you notice that he's playing the Source, which is very good against your traditional Astrobiotics, along with 4 guy, but against me, I'm not really looking to sneak out an early Astro Script. In fact, I've tossed my Astro Scripts down into the trash. I have no use for them right now, not with the Source out anyway. What I'm aiming to do now is to bait him into scoring an agenda, stealing an agenda, and then hitting him with one of my 3 mid-seasons. But where's my mid-seasons? I don't have any. Oh dear, that's not good. I haven't drawn a single mid-seasons yet despite powering through my deck. That's a problem. Alright, so what he does after seeing my play in the remote, he tries to go for the server after clicking for credits, and then I show him the bad news, a Data Pike. He tries to break through with a torch. Wow, that's his only code game breaker, huh? No Guardian Blade? Well, fine by me. You can't steal that. You don't have 4 credits, and even if he had the 4 credits, he needs to pay 3 more because he's running the Source. So he's a long, long way from stealing the NAPD. I should feel pretty good about myself. In fact, I think the right move here would have been to advance the NAPD and score it. But I think that's a waste of my resources. Instead, I want to dig for my mid-seasons. I don't really want to score an NAPD. That's a terrible agenda to score. What I would love to do is to have him steal the NAPD and then hit the mid-seasons. So I dig through with Jackson and I see the bad news. 3 project builds. Goodness me, all in a row. This deck wasn't shuffled properly, clearly. Yeah, so I decided instead install the... I was very tempted to install the project build, but I went ahead with the pet campaign instead. Very, very tempting to try to sneak out a build, but yeah, now my archives is actually quite vulnerable. There are 4 agendas inside, and only 1 Jackson Howard covering it. I wouldn't say I got agenda flooded, but I couldn't find my mid-seasons, which is the key to getting this deck to roll. Alright, I find the next piece of ice, a Hive. So once again, that goes on the remote because he's not running a centrals. Typically, all my ice will go on the centrals. I have no need for a scoring remote. But right now, I need to stop him from getting too much money with Magnum Opus and then stealing my NAPD while slowly digging up for my mid-seasons, because that's the only way I'm going to get anything done. There's no point scoring an Astro Script at this point, by the way. I could shuffle back with Jackson, shuffle the Astro Scripts back with Jackson and try to get a train going, but it's useless because he has the Source and 4 guy. So no Astro Trains today. So yeah, he ran my second Jackson Howard, which I finally drew. So because of that, I had to reshuffle both Jackson Howards, shuffle my entire pile of agendas in my archives back into R&D. I think that was a mistake by him, not checking archives. At least he should check to see what's in there. Whether he wants to steal or not, that's up to him. Anyway, so I finally decided to advance the NAPD. So, sorry, no, that's not an NAPD. I trashed the NAPD because scoring an NAPD is worthless. Instead, I'm going for the build, which is worth 1 more agenda point. All my agendas are 2-pointers, so if I'm able to pull off a 3-pointer, I will find myself in a very good position. And I'm telling him, I bet you can't steal this right now. So he ponders over his next move while I anxiously wait my fate. Okay, right now I'm feeling very good with my credit standing. I have somehow managed to pull out all 3 copies of each marked accounts and pet campaigns in the top third of my deck. Of course, that comes at a trade-off. I am drawing less ice instead because I'm drawing all my economy. It's quite funny because I want to say that this is a glacier deck, but I can't really say that now because there are only 4 pieces of ice on the board. You're probably thinking to yourself, what? You call this yellow codes? Where's the ice? Well, just keep in mind that these ice are in normal games, these ice would have gone over central servers instead. And yeah, there are 2 more Lancelots in my hand, waiting for the runner to inadvertently step on the wrong track. Alright, so he test runs his battering ram and I show him the hive. He calculates and he realizes that he cannot get through the server with 3 credits to spare, because that's the number of credits he needs to steal my build thanks to the Source. That saved me. That Source saved my bacon. So since he didn't score it that turn, I definitely have to score it now, otherwise he'll get through the next turn. So I score this and he decides whether he wants to use Fall Guy to save the Source or not. In any case, I'm more than happy because I'm now 3 points up. So this is looking great for me. And Hive has served its purpose. It lost 2 subroutines, but it has served its very purpose. The very reason why I spent 2 influence per Hive, well, it's done. I don't need those subroutines anymore. I just need to get this first agenda out. This brings me that much closer to victory. But that leaves me at a low credit standing, so I need to recharge those marked accounts pronto. And we'll work from there on. I have a hedge fund in hand, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But knowing that his battering ram is coming out soon, my only way to stop him from rampaging over my centrals is that Lancelot that is on R&D. Galahad's on HQ, so if he runs HQ, I can't do anything. Alright, he shows me the bad news. Rachel Beckman and New Angeles City Hall. He's going to get 5 clicks a turn to click for credits on Opus and get his entire Breaker Suite out. So I need to act fast, and yeah, I need to act fast because the longer I drag out the game, the worse it will be for me. He's getting 5 clicks to my 3 clicks. That's not equitable. I'm not very good at math, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that he's going to win in the long run. Yep, so I need to start baiting him into making a run when he's low credits. He has 10 credits now, and he's about to trash my pet, so this could be the scoring window I'm looking for. So now I need to search for an agenda that I'm willing to score. Finally, that mid-seasons. I've been waiting for you all day. Alright, great. Now we have something going. First, I grab the mid-seasons. I'm actually pretty happy if he chooses to make an archives run. He can steal an agenda for all I care because he'll get mid-seasons thereafter. So I'm leaving the Jackson on the board for now. Hopefully he doesn't run the Jackson. Meanwhile, he continues to solidify his economy, but that's not enough. I have 25 credits to his 14. He's in trouble. I power draw, hoping to see an agenda, but I don't see any. So I'm forced to use archive memories to pull back one of my agendas. It's between the build and the NAPD. This time, I choose the NAPD. I don't think I'm going to overscore I mean, overscoring a build is better. It'll give me 3 points, but right now all I need is two pointers to win the game. So an overscored build doesn't matter unless I can get it to 7 points, which I don't think I can. So instead, I'm pulling back the NAPD to tax him. If he runs and steals the NAPD, he's going to be dirt poor. So seeing this threat, he reacts to it. This is called placing pressure on the runner by forcing them to run your remotes. And this is exactly what's happening now. The Hive is not as effective as it was, but it actually manages to get the job done. It taxed him just enough such that after stealing the NAPD, he's down to 1 credit. Perfect. Sweetness. And he installs the source. Well, okay. Now, I show you the bad news. The card that he never saw the whole day, and the card that I never saw either until the most important crucial junction. He was on 1 credit, so this trace goes off very easily. He can't defend himself at all. He gains 11 tags, and most importantly, bye-bye 5th click, Rachel Beckman is not going to save you anymore. And then I install the information overload. If he chooses to do anything funny on my essentials, he's going to pay the ultimate price. Of course, it goes on R&D instead of HQ because HQ is completely clean. I'm fine with him making multiple leg work runs on HQ so long as because at this point, any agendas that come into HQ are going to be cycled out immediately. Hopefully, ideally, it will be a build. If I see a build, it's instant game for me in 2 turns, in 2 clicks rather. If it's an Astro Script, I'll still score it because that allows me to Astro Train off. I saw the build, yep, that was game. Top deck kit. So, that was that. This deck actually works very well. The only weakness I can think of is credit denial through account siphon or a very strong economy, the likes of the prepaid engine. That's pretty scary as well. But otherwise, it shouldn't be too much of a problem because all my ice is very taxing. This deck doesn't really aim for the early game. I mean, I could try to sneak an early Astro Script out, that's the power of NBN. But generally, I aim more towards the mid-game stage because that is when I am more or less guaranteed to have drawn my mid-seasons by then. And that's the point where my drip economy is starting to pay off. At this point, if the runner chooses to suppress my drip economy, they'll be very poor. Otherwise, I'll be very rich. Either way, it provides the perfect impetus to pull off the perfect mid-seasons. That is also when the runner will start aggressively running on my centrals, getting their breakers out. That is the scoring window where they are too poor to beat a mid-seasons trace, and that's where I'll punish them for stealing an agenda. From there on, it's all about drawing psychographics and any other agenda. I have a private security force in there, a build to overscore, and an Astro Script to initiate the Astro Script tree. All of those work very well with psychographics, and the best thing is psychographics is infection. You don't need to spend outside influence on Scorched Earth or Biotic Labor to get this done. This allows you to dedicate influence to ice, which NBN badly needs. NBN ice is pretty much the worst in the game because they don't end the run, they don't have multiple subroutines to tax the runner. And the only good piece of ice in there is Tollbooth, and it is ludicrously expensive to res. All my taxing ice is cheap. Eli costs 3, Data Pipe costs 4, Hive costs 5. And all of them tax the runner severely, so they cannot afford to make the multiple runs needed to close out the game quickly. Unlike your typical HB or Replicating Perfection Glacier decks, this one attempts to tax with ice, but the scoring method is different. Instead of trying to score behind a remote server, the mode for scoring agendas in NBN is by using psychographics and or the Astral Train. I think this deck type has the potential to become a tier 1 deck archetype, and if it's popular enough, it might just get people to start playing paper tripping. Thanks for watching, and happy net running. See you around.